20, 25 years ago, I would have been in such disarray, so downtrodden, just in the gutter, just frustrated, disappointed, just couldn't carry on. But, had a number of those moments in my life where it was like, okay, this football thing is fun. It's really not that important, though. So I think one of those was when Ohio State was number one in the country, consensus number one. To this day, I will claim the best team in the country in 1998. And they lost to Nick Saban and Michigan State at the Horseshoe. John Cooper pulled some of his coaching stunts, as he typically did, with a team that was so much better than the opponent, and lost 28-24, blew a 24-9 lead. And Ohio State, that wrecked Ohio State's season. It shouldn't have, but anyway, that's another story. Wrecked Ohio State's season, and I'm just devastated by this result. But at the same time as I'm devastated by this result, my son, who is all of 2 years old at the time, is grabbing at my pant leg. Daddy, 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 let's play. That was one of those moments where I was like, this is what really matters here. Omega, thank you so much for the super chat contribution. Appreciate that so much. Not a fan of either team, but GG to both. Is that like a congratulations? Michigan just out physicaled Ohio State. Absolutely beat them up, upside the head, both sides of the ball. Now, the defensive line for Michigan didn't dominate the Ohio State offensive line. That was a good battle and pretty much played out the way I thought. The Ohio State offensive line held up most of the time in pass protection, but obviously gave up some plays to Hutchinson and Ajabo and company. It was on the other side of the ball. The Michigan offensive line completely, they protected, they beat up the Ohio State defensive line in the run game. Yeah. I thought coming in, if it be something physicality, Michigan would win, but it became a finesse game that Ohio State would win. Yeah. Yep. And that was smart of you to think that. And that's one of the reasons why I texted my kids this morning or late last night and said, at kickoff, excuse me, at kickoff, 23 degrees and snow. Uh-oh. So after the primetime games tonight, we will open up the phone lines here at the Voice of College Football. So following Bedlam, we will open up the phone lines, and I need to make sure that our post-game shows are coming off. Let's see. Just make sure of something on Florida State. Painful, says Jason. Steve, Ohio State fans living in the past? I don't think so. Ohio State's going to be just fine. I think Ohio State's going to be just fine. Now, they may have to fight off Michigan every year. This may change things. Hey, Matthew. Appreciate you being here. Do you think that now that Michigan has gotten over the hump, this rivalry will be a little more even moving forward? Well, yes. A little more even. When you state it that way, yes, it couldn't get more dominant on the Ohio State side. When you never lose, it can't be any more dominant. So, yes, I think this is going to help Michigan in recruiting, going to help their confidence. just the outlook, the whole deal. Is this going to flip the rivalry? We'll dive into that during the offseason. Yes, Michigan got over the hump this particular year. Yes, they did. But we see other rivalries where one team dominates, but that doesn't mean that they win every year, but they still maintain domination in the rivalry. And Ohio State may be able to do that, continue to dominate the rivalry, even though they lost one time. I think Michigan's much more and better equipped than some of the other teams like Oklahoma State or Oregon State or UCLA in the past that got beat down in a particular rivalry. They're much more equipped to deal with and compete with Ohio State. The Free Economist. Curb stomping. Well, it wasn't quite a curb stomping, but if that's what you want to put on it, hey, we'll throw your super chat contribution up there and say curb stomping. Sure. They won. And their offensive line, the offensive line, curb stomping. I will say offensive line, running game, Haskins, curb stomping. The rest of it, very competitive. I don't know what it feels like. I'm trying to think. In baseball, I was a enormous Cleveland Indians fan. So when we finally broke through and got to a World Series, but there wasn't like a particular team in the way. Red Sox fans, you know what that is against the Yankees. So I can't really say I know what it's like to be a Michigan fan right now, to be a Michigan fan, to have this cloud hanging over you and the team and the program for this long, and just to get either beaten in the final seconds, 2016, and other times 2013, or just beaten upside the head by Ohio State over and over and over. And for this rivalry to mean more to college football than possibly any rivalry, and to arguably to be the biggest rivalry in sports, and to be the nail, as Steve Dace often put it, this is no rivalry when there's hammer and nail, bug and windshield. That's not a rivalry. And to have to put up with that for almost 20 years and to finally break through, as a sports fan, I don't think very many sports fans have. Again, the Red Sox fans, once they broke through against the Yankees in 2004 and this Michigan game today, this is why this is historic. I don't think that there are too many rivalry situations as a sports fan that you can liken to this. And so, Michigan fans, you have to just have an indescribable feeling. I get it. Uncle Lou, Ohio State nitwits, to me, SEC would lose in cold winter weather. Same Ohio State nitwits. We lost today because it was cold and snowy. Yeah, that's an excuse, of course. I didn't see that from any Ohio State fans, but I'm sure some are saying that. Hey, we got Dan here. Dan or Don? Don? Good to see you, Don. Is Cincinnati the best team in Ohio? I don't think so, but what's your opinion? I think there are 5 to 7 teams better than Cincinnati. I would agree on both accounts. Cincinnati is not better than Ohio State. But, hey, they're going to be in the playoff. Probably if they beat Houston. So Doesn't really matter if they're better. Doesn't matter if I think they're better. It only matters that they're going to win all their games and get to the playoff. And Ohio State lost and will not be in the playoff. I think there's 5 to 7 teams better than Cincinnati. We saw Cincinnati struggle mightily against Navy and Tulsa and some other teams, and struggle to a certain extent against Tulane, who's won one game. So if you put Cincinnati in the Big Ten, they're not going undefeated. Can this be proven? No. Is it realistic? Yes. If they had to face what Ohio State's faced the last 6 weeks, Purdue, Michigan State, Penn State, Nebraska, Michigan. No, they're losing games. I'd give them about a 9-3. Reasonable Gump's here. Good to see Reasonable Gump. All right, RF coming back. Thank you so much for the super chat contribution. Appreciate that so much. You had a good pause there, man. I'll see how you feel later. Go Blue, and thanks for the content. Always, man. Always. Got a lot of Michigan fans here at the Voice of College Football. Michigan fans, Wisconsin fans. We need more Wisconsin fans here at the Voice of College Football. Maybe we'll get it this week if they're able to win this game. They're down 3-0 right now. Now, anyone who just simply roots for the Big Ten, roots for a Big Ten team, and then by connection, by extension, roots for the conference, well, you don't want Wisconsin to win next week because that is going to nullify the Big Ten in the college football playoff. Daniel, I didn't think Michigan would win the game in my lifetime. Well, it did feel that way, didn't it? It's only been 8 years, but it did feel like that. And with an actual permanent coach on the sideline, it's been since 2003. So I can imagine for some Ohio State fans, they just figured this happens. We just do it. We just win this game. It doesn't matter. I get how you could start to feel like that. And on the Michigan side, when is this ever going to happen? So I have now watched 45 of these games. 45 of these games. So I have lived through Michigan domination, not to the extent that Ohio State has dominated Michigan, but I've lived through John Cooper going 2-10-1 and losing all the championship matchups against Michigan. So as we were talking about with Steve Dace the other day, the rivalry has rarely been, for as great as it's been and close overall, it's rarely been close at the same time. Throughout the 70s with Bo and Woody, and then through the 80s when Earl Bruce took over, that was a close series. Bo went 5-4-1 against Woody, and then he went 4-5 against Earl Bruce, and then he won his first 2 games against John Cooper. From the late 60s to the late 80s, it was a close rivalry. Those were close games, and that was a close series. Michigan then dominated, then Ohio State dominated. Of course, Michigan dominated back in the prehistoric times, and that's the reason they've got a lead in the series. But rarely have both programs been on top at the same time. Appreciate this super chat coming in here. You don't remember Tressel's first year? Yes, believe me, I remember it as well as anybody. Shoot, I could recite the plays against Michigan. Yes. Jonathan Wells, yes. 26-20, yes. I know the scores of all the games. Yes, I remember Jim Tressel's first year. 7-4 after they beat Michigan. Lost the bowl game to South Carolina, 31-28. Great comeback, but came up short. Yes. Why are you bringing that up? I don't know. Yes. I do remember that. One Scoop John's here. My prediction was 41-40 Michigan. Actual score 42-27 Michigan. Go Bucks. Or no, not go Bucks. Sorry, GG Bucks fans, though you will win the Rose Bowl.